November 21st, 2023. I'm just getting so weirded out because I got to get used to saying 2024 already. Can you believe it? We're almost at the end of this year, but hey, this has been an amazing year. Hopefully, it's been an amazing year for you. We are here every single Tuesday. We just love talking about heart centered marketing stuff and business and just being epic humans. And that leads me into today's special guest. One of my favorite humans in the world, Rebecca Mountain, is here with me. Watch out because we have to help her bring her energy up. I mean, I'm just kidding. Like, you are just a ball of energy. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. For anybody who doesn't know you, because this is the first time you've been here on my show, let us know why
Hmm.
you're such an epic human and why you should be here talking to us.
Oh, epic humanness. Wow, that's a big ask. But what I love to do is to help people do three things: be happy, wealthy, and fulfilled.
Nice.
That is my lot in life. That is my goal. Every single day I begin with that in mind, and I end my day with asking myself, did I do it? Did I leave at least one person with one of those three things? And if I did, it's a good day.
I love it. I love it. And we, for those of you who don't know, we have known each other, like Rebecca and I, for a long time in separate circles. Like, I believe it started in the real estate space where
Yep.
we kind of got together. We were doing coaching. Were you doing like Facebook and marketing at that point? Like, what were you doing in that real
Yeah.
estate space? Like, how did you start in that
Yeah, I
space?
started. I started in the real estate space because I was starving, which is always a good way to start anything. Just starve or work, and those are your options. I was a single mom. This was after I'd left my cult and blew up my life, and that's a whole other conversation. But what I needed a way to make money. I'd already gotten fired three times from three different places. So I couldn't find another job. And it was 2010 and social media was new. And after I got fired for the last time, I was going around to people I met and I'm like, what do you need? They're like, well, what do you know about social media? And I'm like, I don't know, nothing. Why is it hard? And they're like, yeah, we can't figure it out. And I'm like, well, I got time. So I taught myself social media and I started a consulting company teaching people how to use it. And so I would learn something, teach it to people, and then say, okay, next time we're going to learn this, go teach myself that, and then come back the next week and then teach them that. And I just stayed only one step ahead of these people. And I taught them good stuff and it was good and helped them out. And I made a good business out of it. But yeah, and then it evolved into an agency, and that lasted until 2018 before I decided that I'd rather stab myself in the eyeballs with hot pokers than continue to run that company. So I should do something different. So now I do.
I love that. It's not the poker thing because I know how that feels. No, I'm kidding. I'm just
Mm.
but it's like your stuff. This is you've been in the games at least since 2010. Facebook marketing, which is one of the hardest things to do, even though it's pretty simple when you really understand it. But I mean,
Mhm.
for you to have the agency, so I just want everybody to recognize like that you really do know your stuff, and you've been in one of those places where targeting and the avatars and all that funky stuff that goes along with getting the right leads in is where your
Mhm.
knowledge comes from. Not only that, but on the
Yes.
marketing, and we've also been in a lot of the same private masterminds with a lot of the greats in the world, and we still are with our
Mhm.
good friend and lovely and talented Giovanni from Archangel. We're both in now Synergy, so
Yep.
that's another
Awesome.
huge. It's just uncanny. You just won't leave me alone. What's wrong with you? Why do
No,
you keep
no,
following me around?
I stuck you in my book, and then yeah. So now we're linked for life. So there you go.
And we have to talk. Give your book a plug, not because I'm in it, but I want to talk about the book on another episode because you coming back. This ain't your one time here, right? You coming back, and we're going to be talking about that because I love that book. And but just yeah, give it a plug because I think everybody needs to read it. Tell us just a short
Yeah.
little
Well,
thing of what the book is, and
okay.
yeah.
All right, I have two books. So the first book is the one you are quoted in, and that one's called Think Again, which unfortunately was the exact same year as Adam Grant came out with his book, also called Think Again. Really hard to outrank that guy. Anyway, but it's my seven stages from self-sabotage to success. So that was really the first of my sort of cult stories where I was trying to help people who have dealt with any kind of oppression find some strategies to kind of move beyond it. And then my second book, which was published this year, and I'm actually republishing it next year. So look out for that. Much fanfare, much hullabaloo.
Oh, right on.
Is called the Dragon and the Goat. And I wrote that book because I wanted to answer the question, why don't people do the work that they know they're supposed to do?
Nice.
What is going on? And what I found was there's actually two parts of us that are constantly at war. The dragon, which is our lizard brain, fight, flight, freeze, comparisons, people pleasing, traumatic, emotional memories, stuff that like it re-triggers us and then drives us down or stops us and holds ourselves back, and we play the small game. So there's the dragon that's constantly at war with what we really want to do, which is our goat, our greatest of all time. Each one of us has our own goat, but do we feed it? Do we foster it? Do we try to live according to how we are wired and our passions and our loves and our desires? It's more than just do what you love. It's do things in accordance with what you want to do, not what you think you're supposed to do, and to live that authentic life and pull yourself out. So it's about like 20 odd strategies on how to shrink that part of you that's holding you back. And it's not slay it, because you still need your amygdala is where it primarily drives the responses. And we need that for heartbeat and breathing. So don't surgically remove your amygdala, please. Don't. Terrible idea. But you can also turn some of these bad emotions into your allies, like anger and guilt and shame and fear. We need these, but we need to condense them to their usable functions. And then that allows space for our greatest of all time to step through. And so a lot of the work, actually all of the work I do is, okay, guys, let's look at shrink that part of you that's holding you back so that it becomes strong and, useful to us. Now let's figure out, what do you really want? What actually makes you happy? What work makes you happy? What people make you happy? Get rid of the ones that don't make you happy.
Right on.
All these kinds of things. So that's kind of where the two books came from. So the Think Again book was sort of the launch pad into this book. And I've just got 3 more that I want to write now. They'll come up with a new book idea.
That is so wicked.
I should write that.
Yeah. For what you just said, because I honestly, I haven't read the second book. Shame on me. I should be reading that book.
I'll send you a copy.
I love that. Please do, because I want to read that book. I love that stuff, what you're talking about. And does that have anything to do leading into what today's topic is about? Like, that whole slaying, or not the slaying, but getting rid of the dragon with the whole money issue. Can we lead into like today's topic? Let us know what we're going to talk about.
Yes. Okay. So one of the 3 sentences trying to come out at the same time. Let's pick one.
This is live, by the way. So we haven't prepared for this. She has no idea what's coming up. It's just like I'm throwing things at her. So here we go.
It all works. I'm good. I roll with the punches. Most of the people I work with are in the real estate industry, and they're all entrepreneurs. So they're at various different levels, from CEOs to team leads to brokers, managers, agents, support staff, everybody. Like, I work with all different levels. At the end of the day, what everyone thinks they're after is, I want to make more money. But it's such a terrible driver. Like, to me, money is a byproduct. It's not the point. And where I try to do a lot of my work is converting people from an income-driven way of looking at things, so chasing money, worrying about where the next paycheck or commission check is coming from, and flip it into, if I do exceptionally good work, like I work at being my best, not copying other people, managing my people, going through the leads, but understanding, like, who am I actually championing here, and having the right mindset, then you will act accordingly. So a lot of people, when they're chasing money, they forget that money in action is not the problem.
Right.
This is your problem.
Right.
And this is your problem. Right. And so what I try to do is I back people up, and I'm like, yeah, we're going to get to the actions, but I want to do the things. And I'm like, well, you're not, because you don't believe that you can do it. You don't believe that you're in the right place. You don't think that, you think you're way behind, and you're constantly comparing yourself, and you're checking. And because you're doing that, you're not progressing. And so I've come up with a model, and this is the very first time I've talked about it. And it's called thank you, thank you, thank you. So I have no idea how many people are listening to this, but hey, I'm excited if there's 500. It's called the Profitable Millionaire, right? And
Amazing.
so the word millionaire makes me cringe. And I know when I were saying, hey, what do you want to talk about? And I use the word millionaire, you're like, ugh, right?
Yeah.
Please, dear God, no, not that again. But there's a very important word that I stuck right before the word millionaire, and that is profitable. Here's why.
Right.
So many people get the 2 comma club. You've seen the stupid plaques,
Yep.
but it cost them 1.5 million to get there.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
100%.
I made $3 million. I'm like, and you spent 4 million, so you're broke, right?
Yeah.
And so you do not impress me. And I was like the Shania Twain song, you don't impress me much, right?
Yeah.
And so what impresses me is a profit-driven, approach to running a business. Because if you're focused on the profit, that means that you have to have the right mindset. You have to be emotionally regulated, because if you're not, you're going to make emotional decisions. You're going to spend too much money, and then away you go. And so when you add the word profit to millionaire, it makes it seem a lot more logical, and people pause for a second and kind of go, okay, there's more to this than
Right.
just making money. And that's the sort of like, that the pump the brakes, guys, like pump the brakes. There, it's not just about chasing the almighty dollar. It's about chasing the money at the bottom that you can then do something with. You can go on vacation. You can, donate to the charities. You can do that contributing. And then, so what I teach in the methodology, it all starts with emotions, feelings, and thoughts and vision. Like if you can't get that sorted out, it doesn't matter what you plan to do, you won't do it.
I love
You just
this. I love
won't.
this. So we're going to dive into this, right? Because I just want to say hi
Yep.
to Lorna and everybody else watching right now. Let us know hashtag live
Hi,
if you're
Lorna.
here by live, or hashtag replay as you're watching the replay. And wow, like you unpacked so much there, because I couldn't agree more. And the first thing I want to hit is the $1 million thing and the belief, because you hit the nail on the head. Because when I was in my struggle time between 2016 and 19, especially like even closer to 19, I remember distinctly it was like a very depressing year. Like every day was almost bawling my eyes out, just like I can't get this thing going, can't get this thing going. And I would try all the actions, like everything. And I was in this group, and there was millionaires apparently around me who would be like, why? And this was like November, like around now. It was around now. Okay. And they said, what do you want to do? And I went, well, I'd like to make $100,000, like, cause I wasn't hitting 100 grand yet. Right. In revenue. I'm like, and they're like, oh, just go for it. Stretch it. I'm like, okay. And eventually we got to 1 million. So yeah, 1 million. Yeah. Right. And then when are you going to do that by? Oh, I don't know. You could do that by January 1st. Right. Okay. And like, eventually it went to that. So like, I'm going to shorten the story, but
Goodness.
eventually it got to like,
Mhm.
yeah, I could do $1 million by January 1st. And it's now November 21st. I haven't made a dime like all year long. I can barely keep my lights on. Right. And I'm like, rah. And there's no way in hell that I believed anything that I was saying. Right. Nothing. I'm like,
Mhm.
what am I talking about here? So that was the
Mhm.
first thing that you hit. And for sure, I completely believe, know that that's true. And then it's like you said, that there's so many people who are talking about how much revenue they've brought in, and without the healthy profit. Like, what's the profit? And I learned that one from Mike Michalowicz when I first did Profit First, way back in like 2016 or something. Way back. It seems like a long time ago. And I'll never forget that line. He said, there's a difference between whatever it was, a revenue making business and a profitable business, right? And so when you want to ask somebody how their business is, say, how healthy is your business? Not how much money are you making, whatever, right? Because it means nothing about the money.
Mhm.
And so I remember, and I'm looking at it right now, and I have my little vision. Instead of saying, I want to make $1 million, I want to make $1 million in profit. Like, I've added that
Mhm.
word because it's a completely different story, like you said. So I don't want to steal your thunder. Please, can you teach us a little bit
Oh,
more
go for it.
about
Fire
this
away. I mean, I'm
this
all
method?
in, right? So the method, which I have been studying and using and perfecting and continuing, and I mean, it's a work in progress. there's really three main components. At the center of a profitable millionaire business is three things in my mind. Obviously, profit, right? So you want to have money, but you also need to have a sustainable business. It must be predictable, it must be consistent, it must be something that you're not worrying about. And that generates the third part, which is happiness and joy. You must love doing it, it must bring you joy, and you must contribute joy. It must be a two-way street. So that is where we're going, and that's our target. To get there, there's sort of three major steps. The first one is, what do you believe? So your belief system, which is
Mm-hmm.
comprised of three things: what you feel, right? So your emotions, can you control your emotions? Or are your emotions controlling you? Do you even know what emotions are other than happy, sad, and mad, right? Where most adults are, they're like, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm mad. I'm now out of words. And I'm like, well, your brain doesn't know what to do with that, right? Like your brain needs complex language. And once you start putting words to the emotions, then your brain starts to connect in a much more logical problem solving way. So
Mm-hmm.
the emotion pieces followed hot in the heels by thoughts. And those are like a chicken and the egg. Emotions can drive thoughts, but sometimes our thoughts can drive emotions. We can, a thought pops into our head and all of a sudden, bam, we are back in, a traumatic situation or in a really difficult time or something like that. And so, those are two. And then the third one is like a vision. What is your moral compass? Like, where are you going with all of this? Do you even know? Do you know what you stand for? Do you know what's important to you? And so that creates the belief system, because thoughts thought often enough become what we believe.
Right.
And that this becomes the launch pad for how we act. Like if I think I'm no good, I'm never going to make it, it doesn't matter how many books I read or how hard
Right.
I work. I will never make it because my beliefs act like a tether dragging me in that direction, even though I'm trying to go that way. It
Right.
doesn't work. So the first pillar is your beliefs, comprised of feelings, emotions, thoughts, and your vision, your compass. Like, where are you actually going?
Yeah, and
Once
when it
you have
comes
that,
to oh, sorry. Go
mhm.
ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
it's okay. No, I just keep on going. So you interrupt me now,
Yeah,
and
I
then I'll
just
go to
I
the
just
next
wanted
thought.
to touch
I'll even
on
16.
what you said, like the belief, because in my experience coaching people and just understanding, I've been doing it for about a decade officially, and no matter how many times people would tell me what they wanted to do or showed me their vision board, anything, and here's the plan, nothing mattered except for their belief. And they didn't even say it. They didn't
Mhm.
even come down to it, but it was like when the crap hits the fan, it's like your true character shows. And if you don't
Mhm.
believe in all kinds of different things, yourself, in where you're going, like whatever it is, I believe, this is my own personal belief, that belief or faith or whatever word you want to choose is the ultimate foundation of everything, of everything. Everything comes
Yep.
down to belief, no matter
Mhm.
what it is. What are your feelings on that? And it's okay to disagree with me. I just want to hear what your thoughts are because you started out with that as the foundation. And by the way, I'm going
Yep.
to look down and
Because
start writing some notes here.
you go ahead. Um, I'm not, because I don't have anything right up right now. No, it is the foundation of absolutely everything, right? And when I was doing research on the dragon and the goat to kind of answer the question of why don't people do the work that they should be doing, the answer came crystal clear in every single white paper I read. The first time I read it, I'm like, nah, it doesn't make any sense. And then I read it again and again and again. Inconsistency and avoidance behavior is directly attributable to low self worth. And that is feelings, emotions, and a compass. And when I did research on what do millionaires and billionaires attest to as being the cause, the root, the foundation of why they were successful, they believed in their destiny.
Right.
That's what it came
Right.
down to. It wasn't,
Even
I
when they
did this
couldn't
thing,
see
I
it.
ran this killer ad, even when they couldn't see it, even when they were bankrupt, even when they were living, in someone's garage somewhere, they believed in their destiny and they kept going. Like I'm sure you've heard of Alex Hormozy. I'm
Yep.
big dude, seen this book, $100 million offers. And of course I saw the 100 million went barf.
Yeah.
But again, I'm going to read it because the guy that seems to know it. But, he always believed in himself, even when he was dead broke and going, really into debt, to launch the thing that he truly believed in when it sounded kind of insane. And so
Now, let me
you're,
okay,
go ahead.
let me interject there for a second.
Mhm.
Do you? So here from my journey, because I've been an entrepreneur my entire life, and a lot of the things that I first believed in didn't work out,
Mhm.
and a lot of them I failed more than almost anybody on the planet. I would so I'll take that award. Uh,
Whoa.
yeah. So, however, it was always a belief in me. So when the vision, even though I had a vision, I'm like, yeah, I believe in this, and I'm going for it. And I tried and I tried and tried, and then finally reality hit. And I'm like, I'm probably gonna have to not do this anymore. I'm gonna have to pivot and do something else. It didn't stop me from moving forward because I believed
Right.
in myself, and that was the
Right.
switch. There was never. So, what are your thoughts on that? Because we just said about Alex, like he just went in and I want to create this empire of gyms or whatever it was, and
Mhm.
I'm just going for it no matter what you say. And so I just want everybody to hear the difference between that when something doesn't work out, that it still comes down to a belief. And I believe, what are your thoughts, Rebecca? That is a belief in yourself to continue to go forward even though the thing failed.
Yeah, because the belief is not belief in the thing you're launching. The belief is in the destiny that is going to open up for you because you're going to try a whole bunch of things
Got
that will
it.
drive you there. So the belief is where you are today and your ability to get to the other side with a whole bunch of squiggly lines, a couple of X's and O's, and
Okay.
maybe change colors a few times, right? But that's going to get you there. So it doesn't matter what you do. It the matter if you believe that if you keep trying and you keep testing, because it's not failure to me, it's everything's just testing. Nothing failed. It
Exactly
just
right.
didn't work. Yeah, pick
Yep.
up and go again. I mean, we're talking to someone. I got fired 3 times. I quit 3 more. I've gone through 5 companies, 2 husbands. I mean, come on,
Hmm.
right? So,
So we're going for the same award, you
so
and me. We're battling.
exactly. Da-da-da. Okay, I'm his third wife, so I like to say I'm his favorite wife so far. That is a joke I've used for 11 years, and will continue to use it because it's great. Um,
I love
yeah.
it.
So, but I always believed that I was destined to have an impact, and I know that the times when I've tried something that didn't work or didn't go as far, it had everything to do with what I was telling myself and what my emotions were doing, and whether or not I had them under control or they were controlling me.
Okay, so that's the word I just wrote down because that's an important operative word in the conversation because it's about the destiny, not about the actual thing. I'm gonna
Yes.
create a Facebook agency. Oh, that didn't work. Forget it. I'm out. Right? Like no, you're still destined to do something with your life and impact thousands and thousands of people. That's just not the thing.
Mhm.
That's not the vehicle that's going to
Right.
get you there. Keep going. So
Bingo.
destiny is
Yeah.
a huge word. Thank you for clarifying that one.
Yeah.
Before we
Well, look at
move
it this
on.
way. It's like we get in a whole bunch of different cars, but we're
Yep.
still on the road. And the
Right.
cars are all the things we try. And sometimes they break down and sometimes they blow up. And sometimes you're like, oh, I just don't like the color of this one. So you get out and but you get into a new car and you see where that goes. But the destiny is always ahead of you. And you never doubt that you're going to get there. You just might get there in a different vehicle. So
Love
vehicle is
it.
actually, well, figuratively and literally can be used to help people figure out, like you might be in the wrong car. I was in the wrong car when it came down to my agency. So I got out of that car, wandered around the side of the road for a while and then got in a new car. Now I'm doing what I truly believe is my heart's work because it
Yeah.
doesn't make me tired. Like I started at 8 o'clock this morning, worked all the way through, made myself dinner, came back chatting with you. It doesn't matter. I'm not tired.
Same
Right.
here.
And I don't drink coffee. And it's just like, I can just turn myself on when I have these conversations. No matter how tired I am, I will be like this fired up every single time
Right.
because I love this work. And even if, one person listening today kind of goes, wow, that car metaphor really made sense. Sweet. Awesome. I can go to bed now.
Exactly. I love that.
But I won't.
Let's
I'll wait
let's
till we're
answer a
done.
question here. One question I've always asked for 20 years now: how can I get paid to give everything I do away for free? Because that's where my soul lives and where I am comfortable. Big question.
Well, I'm a huge giver, and I think you should give away as much as you can for free. Where you get paid, and you need to get paid because eventually, if you can't live, you won't have a platform to give, right? And again, the whole profitable millionaire idea is not that you make a million. It could be that you want to impact a million people, like Gio,
Right.
our mutual friend, says. So a millionaire can also be, reinterpreted. So my soul also lives in giving and contribution. That one of the pillars of the profitable millionaire is giving. You must be a champion for someone. And part of the growth strategy is what are you giving to get there? But at some stage, the expertise that you have is worth something, and being able to work with you and make that like a true reality for someone. When you are starting to now put your time into people, that's when you can start charging. But again, it's an exchange for the value. And the way I look at it from a pricing perspective, because I do pricing strategies with all my clients. Basically the conversation goes like this. So what do you want to do? I want to do this thing. What do you think you should charge? They give me a stupid number. I say, multiply that by 2, 3, or 5, depending. And I'm like, we'll start there, because people
Right.
always undervalue what they're doing,
Right.
because they
Right.
think, well, it doesn't take me that long. It's not that hard. And that's not the point. You price something based on the fact that you give me 10,000, I will turn it into 100 for you.
Right.
Because what I know and what I'm going to give to you, as long as, again, as a coach, from coaching terms, is as long as you do what we talk about, right?
Yep.
And you do the work, there is nothing that will get in your way from getting 10 times the investment that you're making in me. And I live up to that, and I strive for that every single time.
Right.
Right. So what you price yourself at is not based on how many hours it takes you, whether it comes to you easily or not, or anything like that. What the market even says, screw the market. What does your solution, your beautiful brain, create for people that generates 10 times what they'll ever pay for it? Right. And Alex's book over here that I've just started to read, the whole thing is based on make an offer that people feel stupid to say no to.
Right.
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 That's where you want to go. But even when like people pay me to do stuff, I'm like, okay, so you pay me to be your coach or join my mastermind. And I had my mastermind call today with my group, and 2 of them were really at the point where they could now market their new businesses. So they'd kind of set up the systems, they'd done some beta testing, they were ready to go. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to send you all his book. I got his free training. I'm going to send it to you. I've got this other training I'm going to do for you. We're going to work this through, et cetera, because, and that's my give. So you pay to get access to even more of my free stuff.
Exactly.
But to attract them in the first place, I got to give away free stuff, because ain't no one going to hire a coach without test driving them first. Right?
Yeah.
They're going to want to know
like,
what I'm about.
Yeah. And I agree. Like, to this point too, my switch to this free thing was like I was giving away lead magnets, and you name it, and had the whole dollar value thing. Here's $7. I'm going to get you to my $7,000 mastermind eventually. That didn't work out for me. I know it does for some people, but hey, it didn't work out for me. Then it was moving to the dream client. I call them dream clients. And it's like, here are the people that I truly love and want to surround myself with. Who are those people first? It was all about people first. It wasn't about anything else. Profit is last. Like, I believe that it comes last because of the people that you're working with, and you can be friends with your clients, like truly friends. That has nothing to do with money yet. So that's where I focused. And like, okay, if I was focused on money before, why don't I focus on people that I want to hang out with first? And then the brilliance came from the conversations that I was having with those people. It's like, wait a minute, they're having this situation that I'm really great at, and I can help them. And because they're dream clients, because they're people who are at that point of, they're already in momentum, they're already in the race, they're already at the end of the race. They just can't they can't cross the finish line. But I'm across the finish line. I can put my hand over and go, here, Rebecca, let me pull you over. I'm already here. I'm just 2 steps. I'll help you do it. You're like, I'll do anything because I've already trained. I've already bought the right running shoes. Like, you've done it all. I don't have to push you, right? So those are the people. And the thing was that it was, how do I build the business, a healthy, profitable business on a high ticket? I hate that word, but that's just for the context of it. It's like the high ticket value first, because you get way more profit, obviously, when you're at that higher end.
Yes.
And that allows me to give away all the stuff that I was trying to build before, all the ladder stuff, all the 97 and 297, the 597s, right? All that stuff. It was like, I'll just give that away, because yes, maybe some of the people will never become clients, but that's how people get to know me. And I know it for a fact, because this is all I've been doing for 4 years. This is like coming into 4 years doing this actual show, right? And this is still a gift. It's still free. There's no like calls to action, and here's what you're going to do, and we're going to have a sales pitch at the end of this and all that. There's none of
I
that.
can't pitch people? Oh, damn, I'm leaving.
Darn it, right? But you know what I mean? It's about that. It's like, so if you can do that, if you can just like, who are the people that truly need me, serve them, become a profitable business so that you can give to everywhere else. That's the model that I use. Now, there's a reason I went around this whole dang long story of telling you that. It was because that I had a mindset issue with this, of the fact that we just talked about, Rebecca, which was, do something that you're so great at. And I remember in that struggle where my coach at the time was saying, like, Joey, why don't you just sell something that you're good at doing? Like, what are you good at doing? We went through the whole exercise and all this stuff. And like, because we're so good at our unique abilities, sometimes we forget what they are, right? And then we just start naming things off. Well, I do this and I do this and I do this. And he's like, well, why don't you charge for that? And I'm like, yeah, but why would anybody pay me for that? It's so dang easy.
And there it is. It's easy.
And I'll never forget, he said, it's easy for you, but it's not easy for everybody. And that's your value. And that was the trigger for me, because I felt so guilty to charge people for something that I could just talk about day in, day out, not even thinking about it, and just going, go do this, right? And so
and guilt is one of the big,
Yeah.
And you know what? The fact that you say I felt guilty, so incredibly common. Like anytime I've done, like, so I've helped people launch consulting practices, coaching practices. I got a martial arts client right now who's launching workshops, as a way to elevate, the offerings that he has. In every single case, they're like, well, I can't charge that. And I'm like, and you can't because why exactly? I'm not getting it. Right. And then they go into, and then they kind of dance around like all these, excuses and the guilt feeling. And at the end of the day, it is an absolute crying shame that guilt is the sentiment that comes up. However, one of the things that I help my clients with when that comes up is, how do you turn guilt from an enemy to an ally? What is the process of doing that? And first of all, it's understanding, but what kind of guilt? Guilt about what? Right? I have something. Let's see if I can pull it up here. I torture my clients with it on a regular basis. Ever seen one of these emotion wheels?
Yeah. Move it over this way. There you go. Yeah.
There we go. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Okay. So in the middle of this wheel, like there's billions of them out there. In the middle, it's like the big emotions.
What's it called? Just so we can put it into the comments, for everybody to.
It's either an emotion wheel or a feeling wheel.
Okay.
It's kind of interchangeable, and there's literally thousands of them on the internet. Okay. So I just printed off one, and I went into my own therapy session, and my therapist gave me one too. So I got a couple that I can choose from. Like, oh, I know what that is. And I'm like, okay, I know what to do with that. So at the middle, and what these are for is to teach complex language, right? Because we don't have, as adults, we lose the capacity, or we just don't practice the capacity to use complex language to define how we feel. So in the middle, there's the big, broad motions. So happy, surprised, bad, fearful, angry, disgusted, and sad. But then one row out gets a little bit more specific. So bad becomes stressed, disgusted becomes disappointed, happy turns into proud, fearful turns into insecure. And then there's yet one layer out. So insecure becomes inadequate or inferior. Disappointed becomes appalled and revolted. That's pretty strong language. Proud is successful and confident. And so the reason this is so important, and you use it until you've memorized as many complex emotional words as you can, is when you like, oh man, I feel guilty, you stop on your tracks and kind of go, okay, does that correlate with, what's actually going on? No, because clearly anyone with a business charges. So what is it that I'm actually feeling guilty about? You go into some of the sad ones. So guilty can turn into remorseful or ashamed. And I'm like, ooh, right? Now what we do, because we have three brains, right? We have the emotion brain, which has no thought. It just react, right? And it's instantaneous and you can't beat it. So it goes off first. Then we have a thinking brain. Then we have a logic brain. So it's 1, 2, 3. If we get overwhelmed by some of these big emotions, you get what's called an amygdala hijack, which means your thinking and logic brains don't fire. They actually aren't working. And so you're rolling in these deep, deep emotions, but you're not getting through the emotion. You have to be able to connect your thinking and emotional brains. And that is literally how you do it. I do work with a neuroscientist. That's what he says. I read every book I could possibly think of as I researched my Dragon and the Goat book. That's what they said. Ray Dalio, trillionaire hedge fund guy. That's what he says, right?
Right.
And I mean, if it's
Right.
good for a trillionaire, like good for me. I'll, step up to that any day.
Right.
So yeah, so that's kind of how, and I forget the original question, but I hope I answered it.
Yeah, no, it was just about how do we give away things for free and how do we get into that
Right.
yeah.
Feeling
So
guilty about charging. That's
yeah,
where
that
it's
was
coming down to.
mine, but
So
yeah, I just added to
yeah.
that.
But
Uh
imagine when you repair that guilty feeling,
yeah,
you're just like, oh, now I can logically problem solve my way out of that. Now I
totally.
see I don't have to feel guilty because I'm giving and I'm receiving. So a lot of guilt is like, oh, I feel like I'm more receiving more than I'm giving. It is because people don't value what they're giving. They
Yeah,
don't
totally. I didn't see the
ascribe
value in
that.
what I was doing because it was so
Mhm.
natural to me. And then and I think that was the catalyst for me to go into Dan Sullivan's unique ability. I think that was when I first went into
Mm.
that major
Got it.
study and like, oh, okay, now I kind of get this, like why these things are so natural to me and there's a value to it and all that stuff. So I definitely do not feel guilty about it now. I believe it's like you
Right.
said, I turned it way into a superpower. Like this is what I'm dang good
Hmm.
at. Like, and I can,
Hmm.
but then I switched that into, okay, because of the superpower, who's the right person that matches this now? Who's looking for this
Hmm.
for me and who's the person that fits into my life? And it's a whole other discussion that we'll probably get into in
Yeah.
further sessions anyway. But
Yeah.
anyway, I want to
Yeah,
give some
for
love
sure. Well,
here.
that's okay. Let's give some love. Love, love. Oh, Carol Ann. Hi, Carol Ann.
Caroline is here. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. Amazing to see you. Jeffrey is here. Good to see you. Lorna is here. Lorna just gave us. Lorna, there we go. Hi. Nice to see you, Lorna. She also let everyone know. Where is it, Lorna? You put it in there. You're so fast with this stuff. There is a link to some emotion wheels. So she's on top of
Perfect. Thank
that.
you.
So amazing. And
Yep.
let's see here. For some of these, I don't know who you are. I apologize, but if you go into, did I do that? No, I didn't do that, did I? Invite the group member. Oh, no, maybe I did. If you go into the group, the Facebook group, and you click on the link, it'll allow us to see who you are, so we can give you some proper love. But thank you for being here. You're making things so much clearer. Thanks so kindly. I don't know who that is, but again, thank you for that. Want to make money, but I never focus on that. Let's see what else
Totally
we got.
okay.
Just trying to catch up
As
here.
long as the money is the byproduct, right? Money is the result of work incredibly well done, is basically what it is. And people will pay for you to help them get somewhere faster and make more money than they could if they could do it on their own. I always hire coaches. Like I'll go for a certain time and then I plateau or I get frustrated and I'm like, okay, I'm hitting the limit of what I know I can do. I need help. Coach, mentor, grab onto that. And then doink, up the next level I go.
Right. Now, that's what I mean. I'd love to have a conversation around just that one thought because there are people who do not have that same mindset. Like they'll continue to hit their head against the wall or continue to struggle. And like, I can't afford it or I won't afford it or I'll be able to do this on my own. By the way, I'm guilty. I was guilty of this, right? So I'm not blaming anybody, not pointing any fingers. And now, geez, see, this is my ADD is kicking in because this is a whole other topic. But it's like, I think I got to go back to that emotion wheel because when I hear that or when I see that, my because of my superpowers, because I'm listening to what I can help them with, I know that I can help that person. And what kicks in is another emotion, another. I don't even know what the emotion is because I'm maybe more upset or disappointed, not in me and not in them, but in the fact that I can't really help. I hate being in the position where I know I can help somebody, but I can't. Does that make sense? Like it's just
Like can't because I won't let you.
yeah, I'm powerless. Like it's like there's I can see them. There's this veil or this plexiglass or something between us, and I know I can just reach out if that was gone, if that whole thing was gone, and I'm just powerless to do it. But I'm seeing them struggle. I'm seeing all that stuff, and that's what keeps me up at night. Then more than anything in the world, is seeing all of that happen.
Yeah, and that's when again, as soon as that action starts and that behavior shows up, I go right back into the beliefs. We have a misfire. something's, missing right here. And I had that conversation with the client this morning, oh, I'm doing better. And I'm like, okay, nice coach Rebecca is like, well, keep doing better. But kind coach Rebecca is like, the hack is going on here, right?
Uh-huh,
Like
uh-huh.
you can't, I'm not allowing you to allow yourself to roll in these stupid excuses. We're going to go into what's really going on. And we backed up, and people do not like to back into their feelings, especially when they keep trying to put that facade of like, everything's fine.
Yeah.
You really have to back him into it. You go back and you resolve, you go to the emotion wheel, you challenge on the thoughts and feelings that are kind of rolling around. And once you redirect those, I think someone was talking about like going to a new castle. Yeah, this one, the subconscious loves the familiar.
You want to read that?
Right? You build so the subconscious loves familiar, and if you want to move to a new castle, the subconscious will attempt to strong arm you. You betcha, they're strong, man. Again, they get their friends. Sorry, that was me adding to it. So the subconscious has to be reprogrammed in order for the new belief to hold, and then you can cross the drawbridge to a new castle. Absolutely. 150%. The good news is we can be reprogrammed, and it's been proven time and time again. It doesn't matter how old you are, you can reprogram yourself. Like I know the high ticket mastermind, and it's high ticket, like it's 5 figures. So the whole I can't afford it. Let me tell you how many times I come up against that. And my answer, which pisses people off sometimes, and I say, if you just have a money problem, that's not the problem.
Right.
And they're like, but I can't afford it. And I'm like, no, you're telling yourself that. It's the greatest myth that we can't afford things. The first mastermind I joined was $40,000. And I remember saying yes to the woman. She was in Ireland, never met her before in my life. But I knew that this was like 9 years ago. I knew that my fledgling business needed to do webinars. And webinars were still fairly new and popular. Now they're like way overdone. But I'd seen an ad on Facebook or something. And so I filled in a form, and she called me, and I was standing outside my kid's school waiting for him to come out. Her name was Bernadette. And I said, hi, Bernadette, can you teach me how to do webinars? She says, absolutely. I said, can you teach me how to do webinars so I can make a lot of money for my company? Like I'm kind of struggling here. She's like, I absolutely can. Can I hold you to that? Can you air pinky swear to me from Ireland that you're going to do this for me? Because if you say yes, I'm handing you my money. But if you don't deliver, like you're dead to me, lady. And she's like, laughed, she didn't take me seriously, which she should have. And then she said yes. And true to her word, she taught me how to use webinars. But before I got there, so this is why I love my husband so much. He came home, and I'm like, so, hey, because my business wasn't doing well. I just gave a lady in Ireland $40,000 and I put it on the mortgage. Love you. And he was just like, and again, I married the right man, because he was just like, bold move, but like, okay. And I'm like, but it's really going to change things around. And it did. So because of the $40,000 investment over the years, I've probably made anywhere between $4 to $6 million. Because I've grown every single business using that model, tweaking it, changing it. I've adjusted it even this year. But that I didn't have the money thing, I did not believe to be true.
Right.
Because if you really, really want something, and if you truly believe that something's going to take you to the next level, and again, you got to, whenever you're hiring anybody, like test them, talk to other people, make sure it's the right thing for you. Like when I joined Frank Kern's private client group, I wanted him to show me how to do masterminds, because I wanted a high ticket. I had my coaching and I wanted to go up a level. So I called him. I don't even think I was supposed to. I don't know how I got his number. And he's like, why are you calling me? I'm like, I don't know, but I want to just talk to me. I didn't make enough money to make it. You needed to be a millionaire. And I didn't. I was like 850 or something like that. I'm like, round up, close enough. So he thought that was bold. I get in a lot of places just because I just challenge my way.
Because you ask.
Because what because I asked. I'm like, is it really like hard and fast 7-figure? Like, gonna squeak me in, And I said, because his was gonna be like 60. Then I'm like, okay, so I give you 60 and you're gonna teach me how to do masterminds. Yes. Air pinky swear, Frank. Come on. Like, I'm believing in you here. And he's like, yes, air pinky swear. I'm like, fine. So there was 3 sessions, one in April, one in June, and then one in September or whatever. I went to the one in April, and I'm like eyeballing him, and I'm like, okay, so I'm going to do this, 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 and that's going to help me to sell the mastermind. Yes, I made $300,000 in 6 weeks.
Wow.
Because I went in with something specific. I challenged the person that I was hiring. I made sure they were the right fit. I was the right fit for them too. So those things
Right.
were like lockstep.
100%.
And because those were in lockstep, and I did the work, right? And I was crazy enough, to do that kind of a thing. I was able to launch my masterminds. Now I have evolved them since then. I do them very differently now than I did, but it started the whole thing off, right? And we talk about at the beginning, we get in different cars. There's been about 5 mastermind cars I've been in, and I'm like driving along and I'm like, crash. Oh, wow. Then I drove one and then someone was in the car with me. That went even worse. So I decided I don't want passengers anymore, right? So you just kind of, find your way. So I think I'm in a pretty comfy little vehicle right now for my mastermind, always tweaking the engine. But that's kind of the progression of how you need to go somewhere. But you're absolutely correct. Any business, and I've heard this over and over again, I'm sure you've heard it too. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person.
Right. Right.
Ever. Like you can
Right.
screw up every single conversation. You can sneeze and cough and hack your way through a call. But if that's the right person, they will patiently wait for you to catch your breath, carry on, and you'll close the deal, because you just can't screw up talking to the right person. But there's nothing you can do to say anything to the wrong person. The one who is so entrenched in the I can't afford it mentality.
Yeah,
It is a vital crush.
Yeah, that's kind of where my mind went too, is because I have like a banker's box full of call prep forms for 3 years that I was trying every which way but loose to do conversion calls and objection handling, cheat notes and PDFs and conversations. Okay, what did Rebecca just say? Which one do I have to go into? And for me, I just wasn't in that zone. I'm like, you know what? There's nothing I'm going to do to convince this person, even if one of these things works, even if one of them works, and I get her to pull out her credit card or put it on her mortgage or whatever it is. Like for me, it just wasn't really something I wanted to do. And when I let go of the outcome of why am I on this call with you, then and this is just for me, everything began to change. And there have been times when, first of all, my call things went down because now it's so much easier to have pre-sold clients come to me. It's all done through chat and email. I barely get on calls anymore because people are just like, I love you. I want to get into Atlas. How do I do this? Here's the done. It's I don't even get on a call anymore. But on some of the calls that I do have, there's never an outcome. There's never like, okay, how am I going to convert this person today? I'm spending 20 minutes or an hour or whatever. It's gone. And even when I get into that struggle of knowing that this person is in a mindset where they're never gonna, at this point right now, if I did want to get them into a sale, it would never happen because they're blocked in a mindset. I just let it go. Yeah. So I just like, this is just let me help as much as I can here, and let's just finish the call. Like, just give some value. So I am not willing to put my time and effort into trying to convince somebody that they need to believe in themselves, in the thing, or me, or whatever. Like, the whole 5 levels of customer awareness. I let them get to the point where they are already aware, they're problem aware, they're solution aware, they understand it all, they're looking for the right person, they've been through it all. I let all the market and themselves educate them to get to that point where they're like, where's a Joey? Where's a guy like this? Where's a person like this that can help me climb this mountain? And then I just step in and go, hi, right? So that's how I approach this.
Yes, hands.
Hello. Because that, like, to you, because it was piggybacking off of what you said. Like, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, right? Or is it the right? Yeah.
No, that's it. Can't say the wrong thing to the right person. That's right.
And I'm the right person. Like, I'm a coach, and I tell this to my clients all the time. I go, like, you cannot piss me off. You cannot fire me. Well, I guess you can fire me, but I will not fire you. Like, I will be there till the day's end. The only way you're going to get out of this is if you let me go. And I don't care how hard this is going to be, but I am stubborn. That was another problem I thought I had, which was like my Italian Sicilian stubbornness, like just right. And then I go, no, man, this is a good thing because I will not give up on you. When you give up on you, I ain't giving up on you, right?
Yeah.
And so you can say anything you want to me, and I'm going to help you get to where you need to go as long as you listen. And sometimes when you're not listening, that's when I'll put my energy into that person, but not the other person who has the mindset of like, I can't afford it, it's not going to work, or what all that other stuff, or I need proof and whatever.
Yeah.
So,
you can't help those people. Those 3 things. I can't afford it. I need proof. And there was another one that you said, or like, there's so many excuses. And the problem with our excuses is they sound legit.
I know, right?
but they're not. It's garbage. But our brain is so good at trying to keep us, to the other user's comment, keep us in the castle, right? And is going to strong arm us, trip us, and do everything. And the closer you get to leaving the castle, the louder that gets, the stronger that gets, and the harder it gets to leave. And in Gay Hendricks' book, I think it's called The Big Leap, he talks about upper limit syndrome. As you inch closer and closer to the edge of your comfort zone, you're going to get sick. You're going to have an accident. People are going to start acting weird around you. Like, you're going to be like, what the heck is happening to my world? And it's like every single part of you is vibrating at a completely different level because you're about to break into your level of genius from a level of excellence. But it gets really, really hard. And a lot of people take that as a sign of, I should stop. When I have my clients get sick, I had a client who was so whole hog into this. She had a gallbladder attack and she came back after surgery and she was so excited that she'd had a gallbladder attack because she thought she had it because she was breaking out of her comfort zone, and she was telling us all about it and how excited. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, Nancy, that's great. I mean, not great. I don't know what to say here. Like, glad you broke through, but maybe like tone it down a bit, right? But that's what happens, right? And so as long as you're prepared for those signs, so my client's like, oh man, I really feel like crap and I haven't been this sick in my life. I'm like, yes, okay, I'm not a masochist, but this is good. And then I have to explain why I'm saying it's good that they feel like death. So
Right.
do we have another question here?
I love this. We've got another question. Yes. Once you value what you're giving clients and get the uniqueness of it, the resistance of charging premium rates just evaporates.
Truth bomb. Absolutely. But it's that there's a very important word. You value what you're giving. And again, so remember, avoidance, inconsistency is self-worth. It's the value we put on ourselves and what we bring into the world. And if we're constantly saying bad things to ourselves, like this isn't going to work, or nobody wants this, or no one wants to listen, or, no one's going to see the value. Well, yep, sure. Yep. Nobody will. But you have to see it in yourself first, because like what you and I do, Joey, like it shines out of every orifice of us. Like we just love what we're doing so much. We don't have to convince somebody that we're good, because we demonstrate, we give, we show, we show up all over the place. And so because of that, people are like, okay, you really believe in what you do. And I'm like, hell's yeah. I totally believe in what I do. I believe so much in what I do. Like my highest ticket offering is $35,000, and it's going to go up. Right. And sure, there's not a lot of people that want to drop that kind of cash. And I'm like, I know, which means the people that get in there, they want to be in there. And I'm like, and I'm just like, you give me 35, let's flip it into 350. Let's turn it into the most amazing business. Let's move you up the chain every single month. So that, and I've taken people from, literally, I don't know how I'm going to afford this, to being on one of the biggest stages they've never actually been on the stage, like 1,500 people. Then they're going up on that in February. People who've launched businesses, people who have just completely transformed as individuals and really got their uniqueness. That's what the high ticket stuff is for. And I love those small groups, and they always will be small, because 99% of people would never pay that, right? But
that's right.
I offer those programs because I've paid for those programs, and I know what those programs can do, and I know how magical they are, right? And so I don't feel bad about charging $35,000, because it is a kick-ass experience, and the results people get are what my entire focus is on. So the money is just to fund the program.
The funny thing is too, I don't know about you, like your program, I don't want to, but I paid for those as well. And then it's like, you need less though. Like that's what I find. You're getting in there and you don't need a lot of the fluff. You just need the cheat codes, and you're there because you're paying so much money. First of all, you value your time over money. And so you don't want to be sitting in there for hours and every single day. And like, you don't need all of the stuff. You just like, tell me what to go do. They go do it. And then they come back and they want some feedback or maybe a little bit of encouragement now and then. But that's what I find. Is that true for your program as well?
Yep. Yeah. So mine is a little bit, there is that. One thing about people who are super high performers, doesn't matter really what they earn, but usually the income goes with high performance. They don't have time. So you're absolutely right. But my mastermind is all based on contribution. So I don't let anyone in that is just going to be a note taker. And I'm like, nah,
Right.
that's not for you. You have to come in and like part of I do feedback. So I get everyone to fill out a form right before they come into my mastermind. And part of it is one of the questions is, hang on a second, let me find it. It's one that makes people stumble. Like how can the other people, they're called goats, it's a goat mastermind, greatest of all time, and how can they help you? So okay, what are you expecting from the group? And then the question is, how will you contribute to the group's success, both to individuals and as the group as a whole? Because you have to come in with the mindset of contribution. And so what we do is I have various different formats. One of the formats I do at least every 2 months is you come up with one question that you're struggling with, need help on, want to test, next step for you. You present it, and then for 20 minutes, everybody tells you how to solve it.
Right.
Everybody. And then we just walk around the group, and then away we go. But, also you get access to, bigger speakers, right? So I brought Larry Kendall, who founded Ninja Selling and that whole thing. I brought in Bill O'Hanlon, who wrote Do One Thing Different. So your Joey Do Different Ragona reminds me of Bill O'Hanlon, sold over 1 million copies of books. And I bring in these people because people want to write books and they want to, be able to do different things. So you should, if you're paying a high ticket for something, you should demand, high value from what you get, which is why, again, it's got to be this. Your idea of high value has to match the offerings idea of high value. And if those two coincide, you're good to go. And there's no way you can't afford it, because the way that you should look at it is not that. And again, I'm not pitching my program. I'll just make a fictitious program called $15,000. If you say, I can't afford 15,000, but if that investment of 15, like my investment, the 40,000 in the webinar, managed to make me $4 to $5 million, I am an idiot.
Yeah, but you don't. But you see, the whole argument is that how do I know that? Like that's what I, when on that mindset, because I've been there as well, and I hear it as well. Mm-hmm. But I'm not there anymore. But it's like,
want a fun answer to that question?
Yeah, go ahead. What's the fun answer?
Where do we start the call? Believe in yourself.
Right.
And that's what it is.
And that's why I said
everything
to you,
comes down to that.
It comes down to like, do you believe in yourself? Like, do you believe? And for me, the people that I work with are getting to that first $100,000 mark. Like that's the main core of who I work with, right? And I understand what it was like to be in that level where like, holy crap, $5,000 for a mastermind. That's a lot of money to pay, and I don't know how it's going to work and all this. And I remember. Even that's why you were talking about bringing in people. I have Academy that is a mastermind that is for those people. And I want to talk to a couple of points that you said there, but I bring in experts as well that are, you should be paying $50,000 and $100,000 to be speaking to these people, but I'm bringing them in at this level only because and this is going to go back to the mindset. I'm going to wrap it all in and it'll make sense. Okay. Is because I remember being in that position and wanting to get into like a Joe Polish 25,000K Genius Network. I'm like, oh my God, I can never afford that. But if you gave me the opportunity to sit down with whoever it was, I would listen to them. It wasn't just this, oh my God, like, let me take a photo of me. And it wasn't like that. It was like, I'm going to listen to these people, just like you were saying. Like, if this guy says this, I'm going to go do that, right? And but I never got the chance to do that. So I vowed to say, when I get to that level of having a network that I can at least ask my friends to say, could you please come in and talk to these level of people? Because I'm curating, just like you're doing, you're curating that tribe of masterminds. You're not just going like, give me $5,000, you're in, right? That's not the way it goes.
Yeah, no.
Can you talk to these people? So that's the first point. Now, going back to the curation part is this. It's not really a question. It's more of a statement. When somebody joins my mastermind, I say, here's what the goal of the mastermind. It's not to help you. The goal of the mastermind is for you to help everybody else. And guess what? If you believe that and you come in with that attitude and everybody else does, then guess what happens? If there's 10 people there, then that means 9 people are there to help you. So it amplifies. It's a compounding effect. It's like it's a counterintuitive thing. So yes, you're going to get help. I'm not saying you can never ask for help. I'm not saying don't come in there and, right? But the whole point of this is for everyone, for you to come in to help someone else. And that means that if everybody follows that rule, then everybody's going to get help amplified. So it's kind of the same.
I have exactly the same philosophy. No, seriously, it is the exact same philosophy. 100%.
Yeah, very cool. So I knew there was some reason I liked you.
Aw, feelings mutual. Come on, we have like love going back and forth all day
Oh,
long.
for sure. Okay, let me see. Do we have anything more here? I believe. Okay, where are we here? Lorna. There are a few different wheels. Okay, we got that one. The
Yeah,
Facebook
there's a
user is
zillion wheels.
Collie. Okay, thank you. So Collie, you're the Facebook user, the unnamed Facebook user. So hey, Collie, good to see you. Lorna says, I don't know if you'd ever let us fire you. Yeah, it would be really tough to fire. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine me showing up at
Oh,
people's
you
doors?
can't fire me.
Did you happen to fire me, by the way? Me and my boys here, we don't like that. You want to come outside for a second?
Yeah. You got your guys.
It's amazing when it comes out of the woodwork to mess with you
Oh
when
yeah.
you're about to pop big.
Yep.
Anything
Yep.
you
So
want to
keep
talk
popping.
about on that one? Anything that comes to mind, Rebecca?
No, other than what I already just said, like, your scariest, most horrible thoughts will come crawling out of the woodwork. The best thing you can do is have a counteracting statement or philosophy or mantra, which is when your brain says you can't do this, you'll say, I'll figure it out. When your brain says there's no way that you can, there's no way that you're going to pull this off, you'll just say, I'll figure it out. I can handle this. Those are my two phrases. I'll figure it out and I'll handle this. I can do this. I don't know what this is, and I'm not entirely sure what I'm handling. It looks like a hot rock, but and if I don't know, there's all these different opportunities for me to go learn. Like I was talking to a client, he's like, well, I said, okay, like, he's a real estate agent, and I'm like, appreciate you want to spend your entire life door knocking, but there's probably something you can do that's A, warmer, and B, allows you to grow faster, because he's starting pretty well from scratch. And the answer was, well, I don't have anybody to call. And I'm like, well, not with that attitude, you don't. So then I rattled off, you can go to your team lead. She has a ton of leads. Oh, well, they're cold. And I'm like, then make them warm. Right. And so, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to be aware of our resistance to take on these things. But, the degree to which you don't value yourself will match the degree to which you bring fear and resistance into the world.
Love
So
that.
if you can increase your self-worth, your resistance decreases in equal measure. And so every part, if anyone listening to this is hesitating, holding themselves back, comparing themselves to others, or rolling in like these really deep, dark emotions, the number one thing to focus on is add value. Like, look at yourself as someone that adds value to the world. The world is better off because you are in it and you bring something to the table. A lot of realtors get stuck in transactions. Well, I just buy and sell houses. No, when I got divorced and I blew up my life and I left the cult and I lost my job and everything was up in shambles and I didn't know how to do anything, it was a real estate agent that found me a safe haven. And one thing in my life became stable. One thing. And that was where I lived. And without that real estate agent, I would not have had that. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to do anything. And she was so kind. She also made me fudge, which was great. The real estate agent that helped us buy our not this house, but the last one, helped Mark and I come together as a blended family and have neutral territory. Right.
Nice.
That's not just buying and selling a house. We had a place. Everyone had their own room. Everyone had space to grow. It was a foundation that, the move, because both families had seen a lot of movement. And so we just wanted all the kids to know, like, this is home now. This is a base that you can come back to. That's what the real estate agent did. And if you can, so I know a lot of, I think your target market is mostly realtors, right, Joey?
Not at all. Not anymore.
Not at all?
It's
Not anymore? Oh,
no.
okay. But then
I'm
whatever
totally
you're
out of
doing,
that
doesn't matter.
space.
So,
Yeah, but it's
okay. So
it's
whether
entrepreneurs.
works
It's
the
like
same.
it's coaches and
Works the same.
practitioners, and yeah, it works exactly the same way.
Okay. Exactly the same. Like, if you can say, because I teach, share, coach, consult this stuff, someone's life is better off in this way. Boom. Hold on to that. That's the value you bring into the world. It's not what we ascribe to ourselves. It's the reflection of what we do with others back to us. That's how we can start connecting with our value. And once you do that, resistance goes down, fear goes down, guilt and shame go down. we don't get overwhelmed by emotions. We're always in control. It's not that we don't have emotions or emotional responses, is that we don't allow them to overwhelm us. So if there's one thing that people take away, it's value yourself based on your own metrics. Do not value yourself in what other people say is good, bad, or whatever. It doesn't matter, and the goalposts move every time anyway. But what do you say is valuable to you? What is a reflection back on the impact you're having on others? There you go. Focus on that.
Yeah, and to your point, I've done this exercise a billion times, and especially when I was in live masterminds with private clients, and we would go through the whole values exercise, and I would just say to them, you know what, list off your whatever comes to mind real quick. What are your top 3 values? What do you value most? And they would write down all kinds of stuff, and they would always be the same things, time, freedom, health, all that kind of stuff. And I go, what's
Sure.
missing, right? You know what's missing? And they go, no, and I go, you.
You.
Like they would rarely write down me,
Preach.
right? So it's like if you don't value you, all this other stuff doesn't matter. And the reason we do it, from what I believe, and I'm just from my experience, is that sometimes we just feel guilty. And again, there's that word about saying this is about me, right? I want, and we're afraid of what other people are going to say. And I'm like, I'm way beyond that, way beyond that.
Yeah.
This is all about me first. When I wake up in the day, it's all about me. Ain't about my family. It ain't about my wife. It's not about my clients. It's all about me. Because if I don't serve me, then I can't serve everybody else. Like you said, like I got energy. I can go till 12. I can go all night on this topic. Like I can keep this on going all night, right? And my clients even know that. Holy crap, Joey, it's 2.5 hour session now, right? So, but like it has to come down to your value in everything. Value yourself, value your health, value what you bring to the table, all of that thing. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I want everybody to
100%.
hear that.
Yep. And that is, again, the root. And when nothing is working, check how you're talking to yourself.
Yeah. How do you value
saying?
yourself? How are you talking to yourself? Exactly. Leaders in the field. Yeah. Thank you, Lorna. I'm glad that you like that she is in my mastermind. And
Awesome.
let's see what else. Who else do we have? How do you? There we go. There's a question. So, how do you not get taken advantage of when you're a giver?
Boundaries. You have to set your boundaries.
Good answer.
And most people who are taken advantage of do not have boundaries. And it is okay to set them, but you have to set them, communicate them, and protect them. So to not take advantage. So giving, remember, there's giving and there's receiving. And there's the difference between giving and sharing is giving is sending stuff out into the world without expecting anything back. Sharing is a mutual contract. I'm going to share this with you, but I have an expectation you're going to do something. And so what I find with people who consider themselves givers, but then they're kind of getting, trodden on, is they haven't put parameters, and it's not that you're putting conditions around your giving, it's that your parameters around your giving. Or the fact that what may be happening is you're giving and you actually are expecting to get something in return. And that there's a bit of a misfire. So you got to ask yourself, what is your expectation that you're putting out there? Because again, if you're truly giving, it doesn't matter what anybody does with it. So you have to say, like, there's a little bit of an investigation that needs to go into what do you mean by being taken advantage of? If people come to you and they're like, ask, you have to determine your boundaries of yes, no. Right. So there's certain things I have more than I'll just give you. Sure. Take it. Like you can't bug me enough. And I'll be like, yeah, sure. Just like, if you're like, Rebecca, can I have the emotional wheel? Yeah, sure. Here's 1,000 copies. Knock yourself out. Give it to your friends. Torture everyone with it. But if someone's like comes to me and says, can you give me the marketing process for exactly how to generate a high quality lead with the follow-up system and all of the content, and I'm like, well, there's some conditions on that. Right? Because I could give that out into the world, but if someone misuses it, and then again, they set up the expectation that, if it worked for me, it's going to work for them. And I don't check that before they start using it. Well, now, there's some negative stuff going on in the world. So, giving should definitely have boundaries, as everything should have boundaries. Your time should have boundaries, your energy should have boundaries, your work, your personal life, socializing. I'm autistic, so I'm like, fine, 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 fine. Where's the door? I'm
Right.
done.
Right.
I'm
Right.
out.
Right.
I'm gone. Right. And so I just don't want to be there anymore. And so I've had to explain to my friends, and I'm like, so I'm a bit of a ticking time bomb. I'll be absolutely fine for a long time. But then if I need to go, I just need to go. And it's nothing anyone's done and blah, blah, blah. But I've set my boundaries. I've communicated my boundaries so that there's no misunderstanding. And then I protect them to make sure that everybody understands them. So giving can lead to martyrdom if there's no boundaries, and it can make you feel really resentful. But often resentment from giving is there's actually an expectation that you're getting something in return, and
Yeah,
you're
and
not getting it.
I want to speak to that because I wasn't struggling with this, but I struggled with the fact of because one of my I don't know if you know my three pillars. If you don't,
No.
I'd love to share them with you. And even if you did, I'd still tell you anyway. So here's my three pillars for my heart-centered marketing system. One is curate the tribe, which is bring in the right people from day
Mm-hmm.
one. Two is
Mm-hmm.
serve, don't sell. Doesn't mean never offer,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean never, but it means serve people, do not sell. Third is
Mm-hmm.
respect their timeline. Wait till they put up their hand at the right time for them, not on your timeline that, hey, the cart's closing Friday at midnight. And if that doesn't happen, the
Mm-hmm.
world's going to end. So those are my three. Now, where was I going with this? See, my ADD kicks in. You're autistic and I'm ADD. It's like, oh my God.
Well, I'm autistic and ADD, so I'm like, where are we going? And I don't remember where you started either, but it was really good.
Okay, here's where I was going with this. With the giver part. When you look at somebody who asks for this is one of the reasons why curate the tribe is number one for me, because it's where do I want to put my energy? Because I also have the business life model, whereas I figured out that most people start building their business with what am I going to sell? What's the product? What's the service? That thing. What am I going to
Mm-hmm.
sell? And then they move backwards, and then they're like, okay, well, what does that business look like? Is it going to be through a mastermind? Should I do it through coaching? Whatever. Should I build a product? And then they go, okay, I got that in place, or that's what I think I'm going to do. How do I get clients? Where are the clients? And
Mm-hmm.
then if they're lucky, they're like, okay, how do I get this life balance thing? How do I put my life into this? Right? I'm working way
Yeah.
too much to do well. So it's all back asswards, right? So I'm like, wait a minute, this
Mm-hmm.
has to be all about, guess what? You, right? Let's value us. So that comes into,
Mm-hmm.
let's start with me. What do I want my life to look like? How many hours do I actually want to put in? And that regulates everything all the way through to like, what am I going to offer? How much is the thing going to be? Because
Yep.
like you, I have boundaries in my life, but people, I don't want to be taken advantage of. But I also want to serve to the highest degree. So for me, it is like, listen,
Mm-hmm.
I'll do everything in my power to show up to serve my dream clients. And on the other days that I've, segmented out that I could give to everything else. Right. But it's still
Mm-hmm.
around my life. Nothing gets in the way of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Right.
the biggest point. So that's how I do it, is like the boundaries that I put in place is, does it violate what I've already put into my life? So I'll give you an example of
Mm-hmm.
this, like a concrete example. You will never find me getting on a call before 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's the only
Mm-hmm.
time that ever happens is on the Kajabi call, because that'll happen at 12 o'clock my time. But
Sure.
anything else, and that's on a Friday once per month. But any other time you say, Joey, I need to get on a call with you, whatever it is, and like it's not going to happen before 1 o'clock, because I protect my mornings. This is my creative time. This is when it's
Mm-hmm.
all me, all that stuff, right? And even so, you have to fit in those schedules. I think that everybody needs to first do that. Is like, what does their life look
Yep.
like before they
I
start
take
giving
every
you?
Friday off.
Yeah, same thing. 3-day weekends, right? It's like, hey, and that
Mm-hmm.
was the other thing too. And I started doing that with way back in 2012. It was okay. I realized that most people get up and they're very reactive. Like they
Mm-hmm.
just get up, especially because I was in the real estate space at that point, right? With
Mm-hmm.
realtors,
Mm-hmm.
and the first thing they're doing is they're on their phone, they're doing this, and I'm like, holy crap! Like your whole life is disruptive. It's like it's reactive. I
Mm-hmm.
remember one of my clients. we went through this one time where I said, "Tell me about your day," and we literally went through 3 of those big page things on the flipboard, 3 pages of it, and I was writing pretty tiny of her whole day. She started at 5:30, and we went through basically every 10 minutes. 10 minutes I do this, then in 30 minutes I did this, and the whole day. And so I looked at her and I said, "Can you show me in this chart where you're with your family?" And she said, "Right there, between 11:30 and 12:30, I picked them up from school." Like, okay, where else? Well, they come over here from school, and then we have dinner. And I go, "Great. Let me ask you one more question. Is your phone with you when you're with the kids on those times?" "Oh yeah." "Is it on?" "Of course it has to be on." And I said, "That's not life balance at all. You're not
No,
present with anything." Right? So it was
no,
like
it's
your
pretending.
life is about this reaction. So the reason I'm telling you this story is not because of that. It's because to the 3-day weekend, it was like, you know what? Why don't I do this? Why don't I instead wake up every day and control my life, make the 4 days of the week about
Mhm.
me and not react, and then have Friday as my reactive day where anything goes.
Mhm.
Like, I don't really give a crap. If I don't get anything
Mhm.
done or somebody picks up the phone, by the way, that's a little secret hack if you want to talk to Joey and don't want to have to book in a call. But it would be like on the Friday, like, "Hey, Joey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on, Rebecca? What's happening?" Right? So that was the way
Mhm.
I just switched my whole life around. It was like the opposite of what everyone was
Yep.
doing because
Yep.
make this about Joey, right? And I
Yeah,
didn't mean
yeah,
to make
you
this.
and you have to. Yeah, no, this I don't make we can make this about Joey. This is your show anyway. I mean, I'm happy to make it all about Joey. Joey!
Okay, so let me get to these questions here. There we go. From Lorna. You want to read that one?
Yes, Lorna, you can be super value. You mean I can be a value? I've never seen that on any values list. Maybe self-esteem is. Yeah, you know where like me shows up is when someone says, "What's standing in your way of getting what you want?" That's when people will say me. That's the only time people have said me in
Right.
my existence. We need to flip that. You're like, what's the most important thing in the whole wide world? Be like me, right? I do know a value system that takes your values and then identity to level. So, but yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right. So, quit putting yourself on like the BS line and put yourself on that top line, really celebrate that because when you do, and again, it's not being egotistical, it's not selfish, it's not bad. Trust me, I had to reprogram all that out of my brain after leaving the cult because they really make you believe that. Um, it is, understanding your place in the world and feeling good where you are. If you can stay where you are and kind of go, this feels really good. I like this. I want to keep doing this, whatever this is, then you're in the right place. You're gonna, and everything is gonna again fall into line. But if you don't feel like you're in the right place, if you're feeling like a panic, I know some really successful people and they live in a state of panic all day long because
Uh,
they know
mm-hmm,
they're not doing what they
mm-hmm.
should be doing. But they are so fearful of reconciling that because they're, who am I without my fear? And they don't know who that person is.
And one other thing, just on another tangent over here, is you've mentioned cult a few times here, and I I want to bring to context what that means because this is not this is a real cult. Can you like just give us the
Yeah.
the synopsis of
Quick Coles
this?
Notes version of that?
Yeah, because
Okay, right.
I know the
Okay.
story, and we'll get into
Here,
this in another episode. But tell us,
yeah.
tell us.
That one needs wine for that one. So yeah, so I grew up in a cult. So I had a very normal childhood until I was 8 years old, and then my mom found this group that she believed had the true answer for going to heaven at the end of life, and entered the dark years. And so the cult that we belong to is Christian fundamentalist. It does not have a name. If you really want to entertain yourself, go Google the 2x2s. It sounds like a piece of wood, but the way that it was structured is that the ministers or workers, as they were called, went in twos, and they actually stayed in the congregation's homes. They did not have a job. They did not have money. And every year they changed what area they were in. What this actually ended up being is a giant pedophilia ring. There are over 450 open FBI cases right now in the United States, Canada, and Australia, New Zealand, because it just perpetuated that type of behavior. And hard to prosecute because we invite them into our homes, right?
Mm,
So it's by invitation, right? So you can't prosecute an organization that's not actually registered because it's not. So you can't sue something that doesn't exist as an entity, and you can't prosecute people that you invited into your home. right?
Wow.
And so a lot of this stuff has gone, they just get off, and then it perpetuates and it continues. So 15 years ago, I was thinking of leaving. My world was falling apart, and I'd gotten like 9 speeding tickets in 1 year, and then I rolled my car on the highway and I nearly died. And that was that turning point for me where I'm like, I am so distressed because I tell you, there's two ways you're going to die: cancer or a car crash, if you think about leaving. So this was my car crash and I didn't die. Clearly, I'm not a hologram. And so from that moment on, I decided that, okay, I've got like something's got to change. And no matter how scary it is, because like the thing with being a woman in this cult is a hierarchy of importance is men, children, dogs, cats, houseplants, me. So we're down there, right? So
Mm-hmm.
people wouldn't talk to me when they would call the house. They'd want to talk to my ex. I did all the work. I was the CEO of the family. I took the kids to appointments. I was the one who picked them up from school and did most of the work. It's not like my ex did nothing.
Right.
Um, but I was the CEO, and then that's how it was supposed to be. And yet, because I worked full time, I was a pariah within the church because I'm a woman and I'm supposed to stay home and raise children. And, so my children were going to hell, and I had to carry that guilt that my ex didn't make enough money for me to stay home, and I wanted to work anyway. So I was university educated, first shot against me. I did work full time, second shot against me. You had two kids, thank, thank. And it just was
Wow.
getting worse. So I didn't fit in there and I was pushed aside. But I was so terrified of making friends in the world because they terrify you of the consequences. So I had no friends on the outside. So you can imagine, I didn't know how to buy concert tickets. I didn't know how to go to the movies. I didn't know how to buy a car. I didn't know how to
Wow.
do a mortgage. I didn't know how to put on makeup. I didn't know how to order cable. So all these things that people just kind of like grow up and it's part of adulthood. I'm in my early 30s and I don't know how to do any of it. And
Wow.
it was with all of that, knowing that my parents would completely reject me. My sisters, one sister was away in Africa, so she wasn't around. My other one, it's complicated. It just didn't go well. Say that certainly for a short term. That was better than staying in it. And so I chose to leave. So I rolled my car on St. Patrick's Day, 2008. By August, I was out of the church. By October, I was separated. December, I was divorced. I was unemployed by January because I worked for people in the church. They tried to fire me over Christmas. I told them that was not very Christian. And so they let me stay until January the 12th. I went on vacation by myself, sat on the beach, and went, what the F do I do now? By the way, I'd never said the F word. So that's probably what it sounded like. But the F, because I was afraid of getting struck by lightning. Then I said the F word a couple of times and I haven't looked back. I just trained myself not to say it on top of this. Right. So that's my sort of like closed notes version of why
Unbelievable.
it's so important to me to do this work. Because I know not
Yeah.
everybody comes from the cult, although one of my clients is a former cult member from my cult
Wow.
in LA, which is pretty phenomenal. But happy, wealthy, fulfilled are my three words because I was miserable, poor, and I felt like I didn't matter. And I never, ever want anyone to descend to those depths where I was. And anything I can do to help someone come from their own version of despair or lack of fulfillment or poverty, that is, I've moved someone's life forward and I'm paying it forward from what I wish someone had been able to do for me because it's taken me 15 years.
Wow. It's an incredible story. Thank you for sharing that with us. I've heard it a few times, and there was a couple of surprises in there that I didn't know. So I just it just astonishes me every time you tell a story. It's in the book, right? Is it
Mhm.
not in the Think Again book? It
Yeah,
is,
it's
right?
it's in Think Again. The first chapter of The Dragon and the Goat is the car crash story. It's actually
Cool.
what happened that day.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
Whew.
you okay?
Yeah,
You
no,
good?
it's good. It's just I go. It's one of those again. So the amygdala is where all these highly emotional memories reside. And every time I tell the story, I have to be really careful not to descend too far into it,
I got it.
because it can really drag you down. Because I remember the feeling, the silence of catching air going over the side of the embankment, and
Jeez.
then the
Wow.
crash,
Wow.
and then I
Wow.
crushed against the steering wheel because I was flat. The roof flattened on top of me. The road was going by probably about 70 kilometers an hour, and I'm spinning, on the roof, 6:30 in the morning, and
Unreal.
yeah, I walked away. Mild whiplash.
Really?
That's it.
Wow. Wow.
Mhm. All that happened.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I blew up
Wow.
my life. So that was the aftermath. But that was yeah, it's been a ride, right? So
Yeah. Well, I'm
yeah,
glad
and
you're here with
thank you,
us. I mean,
Facebook
yeah.
user. Yeah, no, me, trust me, me too. And that's why I had to make the change because sometimes when you're so afraid of doing something, you start exhibiting super risky behavior, and that's what I was doing, and that was the last of my risky moves. The speeding tickets, and those were just the ones I got caught for. Right, no speeding ticket actually slowed me down because I was going 40 over the limit when I entered the on ramp.
Hmm.
No,
Hmm.
and it just I didn't see the ice.
Wow.
So
I
oops.
don't know what to do. I don't know how to follow that up.
No one
Except
knows what to do with that when I'm done. They're like,
like
well, that's kind of
uh,
messed
let's go to the gallery. Okay, so let's go.
up. Somebody else,
Let's go,
someone say something quick.
let's go to
Anyway.
the questions. So, Collie saying that she is so grateful for you, Rebecca, and what you shared,
Mm.
which is who you be and who all. Let me try that again. What you shared, which is who you be and all you do for humanity, and that includes
Mm.
me. I needed this as I walk into a presentation on Friday on mindset for surgeons in inner fitness.
You
Needed this
got
big
this.
time. Love and soul
Woo!
hugs to you, Joey, and you, Rebecca. So that's from Collie because that's
Oh,
her call line.
that was
You'll get to know
awesome.
Collie. That's her call line or her call out. Love
Okay.
and soul hugs. Let's see
Okay.
here. Ask. That's what I mean. We're probably
Mm-hmm.
beyond wherever that one was associated with. I can't remember what that was about.
Probably asking for what you want, setting boundaries, that kind of a thing.
Oh,
Lots of applications. Yeah.
uh, wishing you all the best. Okay, so that's for Collie. Let's see here. Da-da-da. Got it. Joey told me that before. Boundaries. Yep. Boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
boundaries, boundaries.
See,
Amazing.
Joey's got
Good.
the
We're on the
truth
same wavelength.
bombs.
I'm happy. I am
Woohoo!
honored to be in.
Well, ever gotten up and said something like I had a presentation? So funny thing about like, thank God we're on the same page. I remember I went to a presentation. There was like a series of speakers, and the woman right before me said the exact opposite
Oh
of
my
what
gosh.
also I knew not only to be true, but to what I was about to say. And I'm like, there are like 500 people in the audience, and I'm like, how am I not going to embarrass this woman? I mean, because she's wrong, right? And I'm like, so yeah, we didn't have to go through that. So
Wow.
it's good.
What do you do in that case? Like,
Yeah,
because I mean, I am so different, as you can see back
grace.
there. Like, so different, and like the way that I do this is it's kind of like it's what I believe. I'm like, you know what? Here's what's working for me, and here's what I believe. Right? Because
Yep.
if you can't tell me what I don't believe, right? Like you can't say you're wrong, right? If I get up and like I believe this, you're like, well, you're wrong. Why?
Yeah,
How can I be wrong if I believe it? Right?
I know. Except the problem was it was about Facebook and it was about the algorithm. I'm like, it doesn't work that way. I'm
I
like,
hear you.
oh.
When there's
So,
that,
yeah,
I get that.
it was a nice dance that I do. But you're right. No
Yeah.
one can tell me I'm wrong. I've had people shout me down and all that kind of a thing, and I'm like, yeah, well, arm wrestle you at the end. Let me finish. Okay, let's
Yeah.
go.
And I know
Right.
even when there's concrete evidence, like here's I don't know about any of you, but here's what I've been doing. Here's what the Facebook algorithm tells me, and this is how the results that I've gotten, and this is it. And that instead of like saying, hey, by the way, and I know you didn't do that, but like, hey, that woman you just heard, she's
Mhm.
totally wrong. Like you didn't. Like,
Oh yeah, no,
you,
absolutely not. Yeah, she
right?
was still mad at me though because I think she got like the memo, and I'm like, I don't know how to because I couldn't change my presentation. Right? I'm like, whoa, this is gonna get awkward. Right? So, anywho,
Yeah.
whoops.
Carol Ann is. I'll let you read this one.
Okay. So one of the things they find ironic is that it's so easy to use my gift on others, but can't take my own medicine. Oh, preach, sister. You have both hit so many great points around this. Thank you. Yes, taking your own medicine. That's why I do group work where everyone contributes because I can't see what I can't see, but other people
Right.
can see it for me. And the whole idea is so that it's funny because on my mastermind, when I bring people in for the first time, they present themselves. This is my business. This is my problem. Clarify, everybody goes and comes up with ideas. While they're brainstorming, I pull the person out, and then when they're done, I put them back in. I give them a journal, a pen, and they have to follow a single rule. You cannot say no. You must receive. You cannot shut yourself down. And that has been one of the most effective rules, and has actually continued throughout because that launched in May, and it's been an attitude that's been very much continued, so that when people are given ideas and they start to shut down, the group is like, don't say no. Be open. Just keep being open to receiving. And as long as we can remember to do that, then, we will find the messages that are going to settle with us. And that will also help to reprogram, recondition, and build our self-worth. So absolutely, Caroline,
Yeah.
you're bang on.
That is so powerful. One of the very first masterminds that I joined, that was the closed mindset I had. And that was a $20,000 mastermind 4 times a year. One of my very first ones. And then when I went there, the very first thing I did was sat there and with my arms crossed and said, teach me something that I don't already know. Like what a closed, what a closed mindset. And it was just like, I wasted that first weekend because I was just so closed-minded about, tell me something I don't already know. Like what are you going to show me that I don't already know? And it was crazy. But to the point of receiving, on another side of this, because I love what you just said. I'm going to steal that, by the way, if that's okay with you.
Please do.
But it was at Gio's house, and I remember we were doing in the mastermind, and we were talking about receiving just like a compliment or whatever it was, like when somebody gives you, and at least for me, and I think a lot of humans, we just like, okay, thank you very much, and you go on to the next thing. And I forget who it was. Forgive me if you're watching this. Forgive me who said this first, but it was that, like, take a moment to receive it. Like, take a moment and stop what you're doing and actually receive it. And I've been practicing that. It's not easy. It's not easy. But then I visualized, what would it look like? Like, what would it look like if I, or just you, like you came up to me and gave me an actual gift, right? You said, here, Joey, Merry Christmas or whatever. Here, happy birthday.
Yeah.
I'm like, thanks, Rebecca. And I put it on the side and I just keep going. Like, how would that make Rebecca feel? Like, I just gave you a gift and you just said thanks and you just put it on the table and you just kept going on to something else. And so that's the way that I, at least for me, visualized, okay, if Rebecca says something nice to me or whatever, how would that, I'm visualizing an actual gift coming into and looking at it and saying, thank you, this is so nice, or whatever it is, for that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds to actually receive it. And so, and I like the fact of that openness of, don't reject anything that we're going to give you, just receive it and then process it all later. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. That's because the processing happens after you've received everything. Because if you listen and process at the same time, you're going to miss something really, really important.
Exactly.
And it's a very hard one to follow. But it was actually, I'll tell you a small funny story, because I don't know how long we're going. I mean, you and I could probably talk until like 1 a.m. So.
Oh my God, we're going to go soon. So yeah, keep going.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll leave you the story with the mastermind that we did in May. So at the end, I always do a big bonfire on the beach. So it's always the last thing that we do on the Thursday, because it's a 4-day event. And what we do is I'll use PG language, F it buckets, and you put self-defeating thoughts into your F it bucket, and then we burn the notes at the end, and it's very cathartic and da-da-da-da. And then we have dinner. So plus ones are invited to come. So we do the burning. That's just great. We sit down for dinner, and this gentleman who is a +1 to my client leans over and he's like, would it be okay if I invited you guys to our wedding? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, there's no way we're not coming to the wedding. So yes. And then he stands up and I'm like, oh, we're doing this. Okie dokie then. Right. And so he stands up. So first of all, you have to understand the audience. The audience has just spent the past 4 days not saying no. Right. And pushing people for clarification and really challenging each other. And this was the send-off dinner. So he stands up and he says, you know what, guys, I'd really love to be able to invite you to our wedding whenever we have it. And everyone's like, when's the wedding? Are you proposing? And he hadn't meant to propose. He hadn't even thought about it. And so he's like, and then he got on one knee and proposed at dinner. And she said yes. And then it was a party and all this kind of stuff.
What?
And everyone's like, smooth move, dude. You pick the day when she doesn't say no. It was really funny.
That's a good story. Oh my God.
It was a really good story. It was pretty freaking funny. So yeah, that's don't say no. Be open to receive. Careful when you use it, because
that is so classic. You're getting some love here from Kali. She's saying that she have a lot of similar backgrounds, different cult. Wow. And again, more sharing. Lorna says, thank you for sharing, inspired by what you've said. Read her
Well,
book,
thank you.
Inspiring, because I do have the first one. I do have the first one.
Awesome. Debunked a limiting belief. I'd love to know which one, Lorna. That's powerful stuff. That'd be awesome. If you want to share, it doesn't matter if you don't.
Yeah, if you do
Keep
want
it
to
yourself.
share
Yeah. So
before we jet off, because I've held you like way too long. I promise it'll be like, an hour or so. But like you said, we can talk for hours. I just love your energy. I love your mindset. I love you as a human, as a friend, everything, and so thankful for that you are here. And yeah, I'm looking forward to having more conversations with you. You're just so awesome. Thank you for being here,
absolutely.
sir.
Pick a topic. I'll be here all day long, Joey. And I appreciate you and what you're doing in the world, right? Because I have known you for a long time and I've watched your evolution. And I will say, like, you just, the light shines. Like, you can tell that this is your work. Heart-centered marketing. You're doing the kind of work that really means something to you. And not a lot of people have the courage to be able to get in as many cars as you and I have gotten into and just keep going. We're like, God damn it, these things keep breaking down.
For sure.
Gotta get
For
in one.
sure.
Now you're in a pretty nice one now. Riding smooth.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That I'm going to receive that for a second. Because that means a lot. Thank you so much. Lorna, is her limiting belief is that business people won't pay for that kind of personal development.
Damn straight they will, girlfriend, all day long. Put your beautifulness out there. Somebody wants it. Somebody's listening to you.
It's so
Find
true.
the right people.
Thank you, Rebecca. Again, by the way, you know what? I haven't done this because we have. If you are watching on the replay or live right now, there is the group that you can join us. I'm in there every single day, helping, just answering questions. There's no sales pitches and all that stuff going on. If you're a heart-centered human and you just want to impact the world, please join us in that group. It would be amazing to see you in there. Rebecca, thank you so much again from the bottom of my heart. It means so much for you to be here, and looking forward to having you back again. And we will see you, I'm talking about you out there in the old internets, next Tuesday, again, for another edition of Marketing or Heart-Centered Marketing. See you soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Joey. And thank you, everybody, for listening.